Hola, hola, ¿cómo están todos? And welcome to the Claudia Macias show and podcast on admirableradio.com. Now, we have a new look, we have a new name, we have new graphics, we got flowers because things are always springing and changing and transitioning. And that's what we're about as humans, right? So, I am excited to be here today, as usual, because I really love having the space to uplift others, to share amazing stories and journeys and books, because today it's all about the launch of a book, and we're going to be talking to two amazing Latina authors. But before we get to that, again, just coming together and you know on this mode, it's a great way for us to still continue to stay connected to yourself, to others. And with this space, I get a chance to share amazing people that I come across along my path. So, today's title, the book launch of The Table is Said. I am, my background is education. It's mental health space. It's literacy and the love of literacy. And when I have a friend or comadre who is launching a book or writing a book, I like to bring them on because I want you to also get a chance to connect with them and see how this resource could support you. Now, I do have a couple of things to share. There is a disclaimer that the views expressed by myself and my guests are our own, and their own appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity that they represent. Okay, so I just want to say that right here and there. But today, I do want to share, because speaking of transitions, hablando de cambios, transitions, going from seed to blooming to then, dying. But that's okay. That's life, right? Things are born. They get moving. They happen, and then things transition and move on. And I do want to share that. I'm going to be super vulnerable, because this is what this is about: is creating a space for vulnerability and sharing. Because I want for others to know that you're not alone. Um, that there's a big change in my life. Um, I have recently um, transitioned out of a position because funding's no longer there. Now, it came as a shock. It came as a what? How was this? Because, things that you had in life that you do all the time, they're just every day it's happening. You're doing this, and you have the comfort of, your financial things in place. And then things happen and things change. And in my work that I was doing in the last 4 or 5 years, one of the things we talked about was resilience. We always talked about building resilience, and how do you build resilience in your little ones, in your babies, in yourself as adults. And then we talked about resilience, like, what does it mean? Resilience, building that means that when you have resilience, you can bounce back from things that happen, right? Changes, no job, to gotta change jobs, to gotta move to another place, to things happening in our lives, right? And being able to adapt, and being able to then go into the next thing, or in another direction. And that builds that resiliency muscle. And my resiliency muscle has been tested. And I do want to share that I am so blessed to be surrounded by so many amazing people, starting with, my partner, my boyfriend, my girls, my kids, my parents, and my numerous amigas, comadres, compadres, amigos, hell, even my ex. They've all been very supportive. And I think what I'm listening to inside is, you're going to be okay, because you're going to be fine. And just the way this amazing work showed up, something else is going to show up. Or maybe I'm going to create something else, because you just don't know. I've learned so much along the way, and I'm super excited to see what is next. So, with that in mind, I just want to share that and open with that, because I want you to know that if you are experiencing something like this, don't stay home alone. Connect, whether it's through a text or a phone call, or you get together with coffee with someone, don't isolate yourself. Because even myself, I just wanted to stay home in my cama, covered up in my colcha and not leave the house. But that's not me. But I had my people around me that said, nope, you're going to go, you're going to go, you're going to go have that cafecito, you're going to go to a concert. And I did. And I want to say that I have a new fan because, as you know, transitions, right? I'm going through the menopausia and sometimes I get hot. And I have a really cool fan. His name is Prince. And if you were of La Era de los ochentas, Prince, Let's Go Crazy, 1999. Well, I had a chance to go with a comadre who said, you're going to go because you're not going to be at home moping around. You're going to be fine. Let's go. And I said, okay, let's go. So I had a chance to go to a Prince tribute concert with some comadres, and I got this fan. So now whenever I have a hot flash, I'm going to pull out Prince to keep me cool. But yeah, so with this, I want you to take away resiliency. Your resilience will be tested, and know that you got to surround yourself with people, amigas, comadres, and also sit in that silence and be still and just see and wait. Okay, what's next? What's the next thing around the corner? What should I create? And then let me move forward with it. But don't stay by yourself. Stay connected. And this is what the Claudia Macias show and podcast is all about, is staying connected. Now, how do we get a chance to do this work? How do we get a chance to connect with you and have this show and podcast? Well, I just want to say thank you to my amazing sponsors who are always there for us. We always have Chris Pignon, who's making sure that photography is being taken care of. We always have Cookie Face Cosmetics, Ilsa's Glam Boutique, Men Awake Products. Those are our main sponsors. I want to say thank you to you for always making sure that on Admirable Radio, the Claudia Macias show and podcast is always here, ready to connect you with people, with a journey, with recursos, with a book, something that you can apply to your life. So thank you. Thank you for connecting with us and making sure that we can get those sponsors going so that we can connect you to the amazing shows that we have. Now, if you would like to be a sponsor, please email me at claudiaiselamacias@gmail.com. Email me so we can work something out and we can make sure that we have your products and services mentioned here. And also, if you want to be a guest, do you have something to share? Do you have a journey? Do you have a challenge that you overcame? Do you have a book you want to talk about that you are writing or you wrote? Do you have an organization that could potentially support someone out there? Call us, email us, claudiaiselamacias@gmail.com. And we'll bring you on here on the Claudia Macias show and podcast here on admirableradio.com. Now, I'm going to switch gears. So it's time to now move in to our interview. And before I bring my two amazing new, I guess we can still say comadres because we're comadreando, right? I want to just share a little bit about who they are and a little intro here that I was able to find. And I just want to share that I read that for more than 15 years, my guests, Ana L. Garcia and Loli Ramirez Bennett, co-founders or co-authors, have mentored over 5,000 professionals navigating leadership transitions, career pivots. Oh my gosh, we need to talk because I got a big pivot, and the gap between ambition and impact. So what began as an unlikely collaboration between these two, competitors, right, became a movement, a beautiful movement. And at the heart of that movement is a framework that they created for the book that they have written together. The Table is Set, the Madrina Framework for Bold Leadership and Lasting Legacy. Let's bring on my two new, let's say, call them super comadres here on the Claudia Macias show and podcast, Ana and Loli. Woo!
Hey, thank
Hola.
you.
Thank you so much.
How are y'all doing today? Whoever wants to start first. Go, Ana.
Doing amazing. And thank you for allowing us to come and share a little bit more about the book. When you were talking, a lot resonated with me. And so I'll start by saying most of us will experience one, two, up to seven layoffs in our lifetimes. When I experienced my own, I had two friends at my door at 5 p.m. the day of my announcement when I got the news and said, we're going out, followed by other keywords. But, it is important. And we appreciate the invitation because this
Yes,
is the type of connections that help resonate and help us align as we move forward through our own transitions, right? Because
yes,
transitions are happening every day. So congratulations to you for embracing it and moving forward with optimism on, hey, what's to come?
yeah.
It's unwritten, but hey, it's still being written. So thank you for having us here and hope we could be part of your journey as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. We all
Yes.
become aligned for a reason. And I will tell you, Anna, that it's in stages. First
Yeah.
is the shock. Then it's like, I'm still in shock. And is this really happening? And then, okay. So actually, right now, before we got started, I just went and dropped off my laptop, my work laptop at FedEx. I had been holding on to that. It was like, it was going to be real once I like shipped it off. And I'm like, why am I holding on to this? But I guess I had to allow myself to go through that. So Loli, welcome. How are you doing? And if you want to jump on that conversation, go for it.
Yeah, I have to. I have to say that, first of all, thank you for being vulnerable. It is not easy to do that, but it is one of the most freeing emotions that you can have. When you allow that to come out of your mouth and speak it as truth and say, I can handle this. There's a tremendous amount of healing that you are allowing for yourself. The other piece that comes to mind with that is being the oldest on this group, and usually it doesn't matter. It's a badging very easily. I can tell you that without challenges, you only live a very mediocre life. When you have these pivotal challenges, you are being pushed to more. We could live a world of everything's good, I'm happy, I don't have to worry about anything else. Or we could look at evolving and continuing to do better or really just pursue who it is that we're supposed to be. So you have to trust that process,
Yes.
Claudia. Absolutely agree with you. The timing is perfect because guess what? We've of the people we've coached, the last 2.5 years have been career coaching and teaching people how to go out and pursue who they really were supposed to be. So we can help you with that. As
I am,
goes.
thank you. You
Yeah, we're
know,
very excited to be here, though. Thank you
yes,
very much for the opportunity.
thank you. And thank you for also combining your powers, combining your resources, combining your hearts and your minds to create this book. And when you set this out, when it was first announced, I didn't know I was about to go through. And then as we got closer, I'm like, there's a reason. So my heart is open, my ears are open, my mind is open to what you have in this book, in your experiences, in your coaching, because God, I just get all spiritual, but God doesn't make things happen just no más por la
Right.
nada, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's very
Yeah.
true, right? There's a lot of times that timing is so, when you think about it in hindsight, it's like, wow, I think it was meant to happen that way, or I think it was supposed to be like that. But we didn't
Exactly.
know it in the moment, or we don't want to feel it in the moment. You mentioned earlier, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to send that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of your audience knows this, but a job loss is ranked right up there with a loss of a loved one, like death,
Wow.
experiencing a death, and a divorce. So
Mm,
it's actually number 3 on our emotional cycle. So it's natural for you to feel the stages. The anger, the shock, the frustration, and then finally coming towards like, oh, I'm going to be okay. It's going to
yeah.
take a minute, but I'm going to be okay. So
Yeah.
very real, and very raw.
Very. I literally just experienced it right now before I turned on and joined you and got into this dress because I had on my house dress and chanclas. I'm like, all right, yeah. I dropped off the thing, and then as I was driving back from FedEx to set up for you guys, I had this feeling of almost like something come off of me.
Yeah.
And it seemed like as I was driving, even though there was, there's a lot of gray skies right now because of the rain, there was still some sunlight poking out. And I'm like, I almost felt like I had a sigh of relief. And I thought, okay, this is it. And then I got to my boyfriend's house and I go, I did it. He's like, all right, good job. And he gave me a hug. He's like, it's all good. I'm like, yes, yes, it's all good. So I want you to then now share, both of you, whoever wants to go first here, is the table is set, the Madrina framework for bold leadership and lasting legacy. The title. How did y'all come up with this title? How did y'all come together to do this work? So I'll let y'all just share.
I can take that one, Anna. So when we were running our employee resource groups at our former company that we worked for, I worked for almost 40 years there. Anna did about 28 years there. We were, as leaders, she ran the Latino organization, and I ran the Women of AT&T organization. And so, as history had proved it, because we were funded based on activities, most of our leaders really saw each other as competitors. Even though we were both parts of, I certainly was a member and previous founder of chapters in the Latino organization and did whatever I could. Ana was a member of Women of AT&T, but we did not coexist basically in that world. And both being very competitive and both being very goal driven, I'm going to say, we took a stab at, I invited Anna and a few others to join us for a lunch one January and said, hey, as we move forward in this year and I start to think about our plans, I know I'm going to win. I'm going to make sure I do what I need to do and I'm going to do fine. But there really is a lot more value if we can win together. I belong to all of your organizations. You belong to mine. Why can't we collaborate? And truthfully, that was way before even the word collaborate was really something that was popular. But I had to ask everyone to go on a limb because it required them to be vulnerable and to take a chance on actually working together on something that we weren't historically encouraged to do. And it took a while. It didn't happen overnight, but it certainly, a little at a time. And before you knew it, we saw that we were very much alike. And we had the ability to win bigger if we worked together. And so it was really funny because for us, it was about bringing new work to Houston. And we all wanted that. We were tired of having layoff meetings, and that was the only thing that we were providing our membership. And in doing so, we thought, okay, our big goal is to change the perception that headquarters has of Houston. We know Houston to be a great city. We all love our city. It's a great place for employers to come. The employees are very diverse, and it's just an amazing place to be. So trusting what we knew and working together, we started working, and within about 6 months at the national conference, we were approached by our chief diversity officer and said, hey, what's going on in Houston? What's going on in Houston? I'm like, well, I'm glad you're asking. But what are you talking about? He says, every time I turn, somebody says, Houston's doing this, Houston did this, Houston did that. And then so I kind of gave him a quick rundown. He says, well, that's obviously it's working. Well, it was at the end of that same year that they announced that they would bring an 800-person call center to Houston. And because of our efforts, we were the ones that helped bring that here.
Wow.
So when it came to January, I think it was January, February, the next year, we were the honored guest of of our leadership team as a whole, because we brought them to a city and a place that made sense.
Yeah.
And so if we had stuck to our own ways,
Mm.
we'd be successful, yes, no question. But it would not have been as big as what we were able to go work together on.
That's beautiful. I love how what you said, the value when we win together, gathering like, hey, you're here, you do this, you do that. Well, let's we do it. I like how you emphasize and how that brought in even a bigger, you know,
Yeah.
piece,
Yeah.
coming into Houston. And then Houston of all places, it's almost like Houston is for hire. We're a great place with great people, and you were able to harness that with your team with the team that y'all created. So Anna, tell me your connection, your background with that.
So absolutely. I like to say Lolly and I ran in parallel for a while until we started running together. So we both had our own respective journeys, right, when it came to career paths and everything. But during the moment when we were both leading ERG, she didn't mention we started as Houston chapter leaders.
Okay.
Quickly, we were nominated for regional leaders, and then we eventually became the national CEO of our respective organizations. But what happened was something that it's kind of like a movement. People started looking to us for support, for advice, and they started calling us madrinas. And because we were from Texas, they started calling us the Texas Madrinas, the Texas
Mm-hmm.
Madrinas, because we were everywhere when we led national and international groups. So it just became the Texas Madrinas because we were always together. And it's always, if you knew Lolly, you would know Anna. If you wanted Anna, you would get both Anna and Lolly, etc.
Uh-huh.
And there was a lot that was happening when we were supporting others. And unbeknownst to us, Claudia, to your point earlier, some of the work that we did, I think better prepared us for our own
Mm.
transitions, right? Even though
Mm-hmm.
my transition was unexpected and Lolly was planned because she retired a month after I got laid off because she couldn't live without me. That's my story. No,
Aw.
we are sticking to it.
It's two. I mean, and it's you. When I just see you, I'm like, where's Loli? When I just see Loli, where's Anna? It's that y'all got some great branding.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny we
Yeah.
just said that earlier because we were going to do a book tour in New York, and we're like, no, you can put us both down. We're both coming. It's so funny, but that's kind of where the book came about, where it's like they kept telling us, y'all need to put this in writing. Your advice is so great. Y'all need to put it in writing. And they honestly told us. So for 10 years, we've been saying we're going to put it in writing. We're going to put the book, and then this year, I put it on my vision board and my goal planning. And I told Lolly, okay, we're doing it. And then I said, and then if you don't do it, I'm going to do it without you. I'll still call it the book, but we're doing it. So I am also her, what is it called? Her coach and motivator, or just enforcer. I don't know.
The enforcer. I love it.
She's my emotional support, and I'm her like, ándale ya.
Let's go. You need a little bit of everything on the team.
Yes.
Right. Your board of directors should include a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of led us to put our ideas together, and we put this book, and it went through a process of what we see most often. When we work with people, I like to say I've been coaching since I was 8 years old. If you don't believe me, ask my mama. So she'd tell you that I've been coaching, and at 14, I coached multiple women to start their own business that worked for me at that age. So
wow,
it's something that I've been doing all my life. And I noticed Lolly was also a natural at doing it, and so combined, we started thinking, man, do you realize how many people we've coached? And it was so funny that when I got laid off, everybody that reached out to me within my first 7 days of my layoff was like, hey, if I pay you, can you coach me on this? If I pay you, can you help me with this? If I pay you. And it was always, if I pay you, because now they knew I was unemployed. And so I told Lolly, I think my calling found me. I didn't say I found it because I didn't know what I was going to do when I grew up. As a matter of fact, we had several conversations. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't want to go back to tech. But I know I don't want to do, I don't know what I want to do. And so my calling found me, and a lot of what's in the book is even more experience that her and I have shared together. And there are real stories in there. Every story that you read in there or example is something that we have coached around. So it was only natural and organic to just put it all on paper finally.
Oh, that is amazing. I love the story. I love the title because you're right, madrinas, we're used to, and for those that are listening and watching and maybe are not familiar with madrinas, but madrinas is something that I grew up hearing. Mira, your madrina, tu madrina pa acá y pa acá, and then they're the ones that support, they're the ones that are there, they're the ones that you can call on, they're the ones that show up, and to take that, what we know that is something in our comunidad that we're used to then infuse that in a space that typically you don't hear that, but I bet it was so beautiful to see that you're being called las madrinas, háblale a la madrina can help you with this, and to create that network, which then led to the framework of your book. And as I was looking, through a little bit of the book, which I need to get, you created a framework that is built on 5 pillars: mirror, motive, movement, momentum, and madrina. Talk about, how did you come up with those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pillars? Sorry, I had to count. First part of the question: how did you get to that? What was? And I love how it's all M's. The teacher in me likes that.
Yeah.
Well,
So, go ahead, Lolly.
I'm going to say that in reality, it is a model that we follow. It is, even when we talk about coaching an executive today, we always ask them to look in the mirror, to reflect on who it is they are today. Where do they want to go? What are the things that are stopping them? But it's in that mirror. And I don't care if it is a 20-year-old in college, a 30-year-old who maybe just got married and is trying to get back into their career, a 45-year-old who's really not happy with where they're at, or maybe it's a 50-year-old who just got told their job's no longer available. The same process helps, because you got to start with you. When you think about, I got to go out in the world again and start over or whatever, you need to assess where you're at. Yeah. And yeah, you can include other people to help you with that, to tell you what it is that you do so great. But at the end of the day, the one that's going to take you to where you need to go is you. Yeah. So that mirror is huge, right? And then, as you go through that, it's understanding what's the mirror, what's the motive, why do you want to go? For me, when I left AT&T, it's funny because I do get blamed for outing the fact that Anna got laid off earlier than she was prepared to. But I think I was just as impacted as she was. Yeah. What I will say is that within a month, I did leave AT&T and had that situation with Anna not happened, I don't know, in all honesty, if I would have made the same decision. Yeah. And yet that decision was the best thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah. So you look at the picture, but then you understand what's driving you. And for me, I've always been an advocate for many others, but especially for women. And when I looked at what I had been told corporate-wise for years was, you get your education, you step up to your leadership, you do everything that I saw my friend doing day by day. And yet you didn't take the steps to keep her. And I will say we did have the connections to be able to get that done, and it didn't get done. Then you've not followed through with what you're asking me to do either. Yeah. And you have to be able to know who you stand. Do I stand to represent women? Do I stand to hold people accountable? Or if I don't, then I can just stay here and hang out and don't worry about anything else. Yeah. But that goes back to that legacy that we want to do, right? Exactly. For me, it's about the impact. It's about what we're doing and building for the future. Yes. So, Anna, I'll let you pick up the rest if you want.
Yes. So after you've had time to self-reflect, and I do mean, look, guys, so one of the things we talk about in the mirror is that the mirror shows you what's real, and the key to progress is not to turn away from it, right?
Ooh.
So that is when you finally identify your motive. Like Lolly said, what is it that keeps me going? Why do I keep fighting? And a lot of times it could be confused with other things, right? So when you think about your motive, what's your anchor? What makes you be convictionist? You know, like if they tell you you can't do that, well, do you want to do it out of anger? Do you want to do it out of spite? Or do you want to do it because by golly, you're going to do it? Or what's the reason, right?
Yeah.
If it's just wasting energy and it's not really a motive or anything that you hang on to, then don't worry about it, because you need to get to the next phase, which is movement. And then movement is where you finally turn that intention into action. But it has to be rooted in your conviction, or you lose your will. You lose that urge to get there. It's not intentional anymore. Now you're just doing movement for the sake of movement.
Yeah.
We once talked about busy work versus busy needed work, right? Or necessary work or progress work. So once you get to movement, then you turn that intention into action. But how do we keep it, right? A lot of times we mistake momentum, which sustains our progress, for motivation. There's temporary motivation in everything. Maybe it is that anger that was driving you, like, I'm going to do it because she said I couldn't.
Yeah.
Or, maybe it's like, I'm going to go get that job because everybody wants that job, but it's not going to be sustainable if you're not getting that momentum that's going to keep you going. And it's also where people get lost because they mistake the movement has to happen quickly. They're looking at that end goal, but the end goal should never be your first vision. It should be like, what do I need to do now to get to that end goal eventually? I have this conversation with my daughter often, right? She's like, oh my gosh, my life sucks. You know how kids are.
Yeah.
Their life always sucks.
Yes.
So I asked her, well, what do you want to do? And she gives me her big vision. And I said, can you get there now? She's like, no. I said, well, what can you do today that can get you closer to that? And so we worked on that. And I told Lolly within a month, she was at my door again. She's like, Mom, guess what? I was able to do A, B, C, D. And I'm like, oh, there you go. So how much closer are you to your goal? And it's that momentum because she is feeling good that she's actually achieving milestones, right? If we look at the big goal, we're never achieving anything because we're not at the big goal, whereas we're bites that are manageable and true, you can do it, right? And then once we acquire the momentum comes, the madrina.
Yeah.
Because madrina is now when we transcends beyond us, right? Now I want to help others achieve their own movement, their own, look at their own mirror. And that's what eventually takes us to one of our chapters after the 5 pillars is momentum multiplied. Yes. So how does this continue beyond me? Because it's not about ending with us. And that's one of the things we often hear. Another one of our motivators was, they always say women can't support women. Women can't work with women. Women can't help women. And we're like, yeah, we can. And so that's when we want others to be madrina. So this book was never intended like you have to have us there to give the workshops or to deliver the thing. It's a book that you can do your own workshops based on it. And we've had, it's obviously working for some because we had some comments, right, Lolly? This lady actually used the mirror for ministry work that she was doing in a prison with women.
Oh, wow.
And so that was, really nice to hear because think about who needs it.
Everybody. This sounds like you're saying what you created, and I love this. I didn't, know that until right now, is that you are building through the madrina piece. What I remember when I used to work in an organization where once you make it to the top, you look back down to see who's down there and you bring them up.
Yes.
And then you bring that into their existence. Like, okay, we coached you, we mentored you, you're doing your thing. Now is your turn. Wherever you are, whether you're in the same position or you're in another city, you're in another organization, if you're at the top, look back to see who needs un avance, la mano, dale la mano a tu prójimo. As I always hear my parents say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And for you to set this in a way where this could be, you're right, it could be taken anywhere. Prison ministry, it could be taken to a lot of teachers that are like, I'm done with education. I'm trying to do something else that's different. Those I can see myself as that mom when you mentioned earlier. having been at home for a while and then coming back into the workforce after having been out of it for 10 years, and then coming back and getting mind, body. I called it like mind, body, soul ready to
Yeah.
get back into the game, and yeah, so thank you so much for listening to your calling. Both of you did separately. I heard earlier that y'all were running parallel before y'all came together, but y'all needed those two parallel, your own work
Absolutely.
to get to where you're at. And Lori, like you said, I'm always a big believer. Everything happens for a reason. Where you retired, it was time to go. And at the same time, unfortunately, this happened to you, Anna, but then it happened at a time where, hey, out of this, something else was born. Now, earlier when we first started, and I was giving my intro, I talked about transitions and about changes and about resilience and building that resiliency muscle and adapting and bouncing back. And you two are the epitome of that, of what was next with Loli, when you're like, what's next? And what was next had to do with Anna and what she experienced. And now me sitting here having experienced what I experienced, I mean, you got I now have I'm blessed to be able to be on the receiving end as well as sharing this with others, that there is hope and that there are madrinas out there that are ready to put the mirror up, to help you figure out what's the motivation, to help you do the movement that is needed, like you said, not just busy work, but the needed busy work, and the momentum. And how I love how you said with your daughter, Anna, like breaking it down, chunking it. Like, here's your big vision board, your big goals. But I can attune to I can connect with that too, because I have two teenagers. One's 18 and one's about to turn 17. And they grew up in a time where they push a button and the food shows up. Roll, and next thing you know, whatever they ordered on Amazon shows up. They're used to that quickness.
Mhm.
But building a career and building your life, it doesn't happen at a scroll or a push of a button. It's having your big vision, but breaking it down. What are the little things I need to do? And it's helping me, what you're sharing too. It's helping me because my mind is filled with ideas. But my comadres and my friends are like, Claudia, take a week, just chill. I know you want to start on the next thing. Girl, the day that they told me, I was already on Wix, creating a new website. I don't know what I was going to put on the website, but I'm like, I'm going to put ClaudiaMacias.com. Don't know what it's going to be. I was already, okay, I'm making some business cards. Let me change everything. And then my friends are like, chill, ground yourself, be still. And that's so hard for me. It's so hard to tell my mind and my body, but I've been working at that. I've been trying to be okay with the stillness. I'm even driving in a way where I'm not rushing to work or rushing to the meeting. I'm like, why am I rushing? Let me just drive. Let me just be present. My comadre, I had bought a ticket to go see Prince, and I'm like, I don't think I should have bought that ticket. Not Prince, but a Prince tribute. I don't have a job anymore. She's shush. She's shush. And she's my comadre who's a reverend and a doctor. So the reverend in her came out, but she's a big Prince lover. So she's like, "You're going to this thing," and I almost canceled on her last minute.
No.
I was this close.
I'm glad you went.
I'm gonna stay home in my blanket under my bed and just sulk. And I said, even my boyfriend's like, nope, you're gonna go.
Yeah.
And my comadre was like, are you coming? Yes, I am. So
I feel compelled to share something with you. One of my greatest regrets, and Lolly knows this, is I jumped in too quickly after being laid off. That is one of my greatest regrets.
Okay.
And I jumped in very quickly because, oh my gosh, the calls were coming. I kept getting calls. And so within 7 days, I landed 3 contracts.
Okay.
So I started consulting. But I wish I had taken more time. And I say that all the time. When I give webinars and when I do career coaching, I share that piece because in this fast-paced world that we live in, we want to get to what's next right away. And I don't regret the steps that I took,
Hmm.
because it eventually brought me to where I'm at today, and I'm loving it. But there are moments of like, well, what if I had done this instead? And then those what ifs get you. Whereas if you take that time up front, you're going
Yeah.
to be more aligned, which is also in the book, by the way.
Hmm.
You're
Good.
going to be more aligned, and it's going to help you, right? Actually, one of the lines in the book is the hardest time is to sit in that stillness, and you use that
Woo.
word. I'm going to find it and highlight it for you. But it's in the book. And so when you said that, I was like, wow, this conversation is very needed. And then when it comes to the pivoting and when it comes to the reinventing, both Lolly and I are girls when it comes to rebranding. And I'm going to let her share her piece of
Yes.
why I say this. Because Lolly, tell them about your trajectory since your last corporate employment.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
So, I took, as soon as I left, I was thinking I was going to start working by March. I retired at the end of November. In March, I would have a job, and I knew I was going to go work. I had my idea, but I didn't know for sure. But I knew I wanted something different.
Mhm.
I purposely want to prove that it doesn't matter what your age is or where you're at in your life as to where you have to stop.
Mm.
I've read before people say something like, at 55 we should all retire. We
Yeah.
should go home and enjoy our parents. We should go home and enjoy our grandchildren. Well, I lost my parents when I was
Mm.
young. My
Mm.
mom by the time I was 20, my dad when I was 13.
Yeah.
So I can't do that. I didn't have children, so I don't have grandchildren. I'm
Hmm.
not doing that, obviously. And quite honestly, I've lived my whole life as a bit of a rebel, and I enjoy that.
Love it.
And so I thought, okay, this is what's going to happen. Well, of course, then something, family issues happened. My husband had an accident.
Mm.
My sister, that's like my mom, had an accident. So I ended up being in home health care for a little bit. And let me
Yeah.
just tell you, as many fires as I like to handle, I did not enjoy that one. And by the end of the year, thankfully, I had a very good friend of mine who took the time to say, Lolly, you need to go back to work. So thanks to Anna, she said, hey, I need you here.
Oh, I love it.
And it was a hard thing to say because I can get focused if I need to, and I can do what I need to, and I'm pretty stubborn too. So thankfully she's like, look, I'm worried about you. And that
Good.
was the truth.
Yeah.
And so I went to go work as a career, actually initially as a resume writer. And within 3 months, I became the resume master. I learned how to handle the game and understood way more than people that had been in it for years, and
Uh-huh.
thought, okay, I can transition pretty easily. And then we started working with as a coach and did very well with that as well. And then at the end of last year, after 2 years, I knew I needed to go back to something that I wanted,
Mm.
which was I wanted to prove again everything that I've done in my life
Yeah.
is who I am today. It's not the titles,
Yeah.
it is not anything else. But if I take all those transferable skills, I can focus in and do something different and a different industry. So this January, I went out and I agreed to go and be a head of HR for a large um, growing
Uh-huh.
electrical company that's going into very the mission control work, the data centers, the semiconductors, what does Lolly know about all that, right?
Woo!
And hopefully things go well, maybe even aerospace.
Yes.
So, but you know what? I didn't miss a beat.
Mhm.
I didn't know the system that they had.
Mhm.
It didn't take but a couple of days, and I've
Yeah.
got that. I know the problem solving; those are skills that I've used everywhere.
Mhm.
And in all honesty, have had HR many years ago. But
Yeah.
when you work for a large corporation, usually you don't get to remove work. You only take on more, right? So all those
Mhm.
years, I still was solving problems from an HR perspective.
Yeah.
And, the biggest thing was that I needed to come on board and be able to quickly build trust as we were getting ready to quadruple in size,
Mm.
right? and help people that had come from a small company be able to grow.
Yeah.
And I've been there 4 months, and I think I got almost everybody, if not everybody, more in the ya te la echates en la pocket. Yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
They're my family. They're everybody I love and
Oh,
enjoy. So very different.
yeah.
But again, I am, and I have no problem saying my age. I am 62 years old. I have
62
gone through
years young.
uh, uh, that's because
2 years
I like that, because
experience.
I don't like to say I'm
62
wrinkled or
years
anything.
of wisdom.
Yes, exactly. And I started a new career. I started at a new industry,
Yes.
and every day I go to this job and I am thrilled to death
Oh,
because I am doing what I wanted to do.
are you doing
That's
your madrina work there too?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. We've
I've
already
already
had
been invited.
even Honest joined me at the Women in Construction week, and it's the values of this company and I are white. I mean, we're aligned perfectly.
Yes.
And one of the things is you learn, you start to teach, you mentor,
Mhm.
and it goes right with coaching.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It is funny, and I certainly understand the concern with stillness
Yes.
because I don't do that well either.
Mm.
I'm quite at the
Me,
opposite end of.
yeah, I feel you, you feel me.
People are like, you need to slow down. I'm like, well, you know what? As they
So the
say,
who?
I'll slow down when I die. And if I die working, trust that I died a happy person. I live life the way I want to.
I love that. I love how you've embraced it and you're letting people know this is me. A mí me gusta así, así me voy, ahí, cada quien su cosa. And I love that, and even and I have pushback. I have pushback when I have shared being vulnerable and how they're like, don't worry, this and that, you're great. I go, stop. I don't need you. I just need you to just listen.
Yeah.
Because logically I know, but emotionally I just need you to be just listen and just be, damn, that sucked. And that's it. That's all I need.
Sometimes you just need somebody to validate what you're thinking,
Yeah.
or sometimes you have somebody who calls you up and says, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't know how they expect me to. And I'm like, hey, you got this. Shut up and keep going,
I like that.
Literally, she would just tell me to shut up. She's being nice already.
You got this. There's no bull. No.
My
You know,
madrina
I
was
love it.
very madrina.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Vámonos.
Obviously, you know why I didn't have children, because I'd have been the hard mom. They're like, nah, no excuses allowed.
Oh my gosh, it's funny because growing up, I had only two madrinas really, like the baptism and the one that baptized me, and the one that did my communion and confirmation. The baptism one, man, she has a mouth on her. She cussed like a sailor in Spanish, but it didn't sound bad in Spanish, right?
Right.
No, chinga, all the words. No, mija, ven para acá porque tú, no, chinga, like all the bad words. Vas a hacer esto, la, y no, ven para acá. You're like, oh, okay.
Got it done?
Yeah, and I got it done. And then I had another madrina who was very calm. And so I had both. I had both of two madrinas. The one that was, sí, mijita, you're going to be fine. Like, just listening. And la otra mina, no, vámonos. So it was a great combination of the push and the, okay. Dale, okay, mija, you're going to be okay. I love that. And I love, knowing what you need to. And I always, like Anna, you tell your daughter, like what they, teaching them and not so much teaching, but sharing those experiences, sharing and recommending. Because my girls think they know everything. So I have to say, like, I heard.
Or you should listen too.
Yeah, you should listen too. And then once they listen to somebody else, or that they think that somebody else told me, it was really me. They're like, Mom, I tried this. I'm like, oh, really? I'm glad it worked out. But Marina, I want to say, your energy comes out right now. Your love for what you do is obviously just in the book as well. And I just want you to share, as we're coming to the close, I want you to share, how can people get connected to you two, connected to your book, and connected to potentially a workshop that we can all show up and be a part of. Because I'm signing up.
Yes. So all of my social media handles are the Anna with two N's, ANNA Garcia. So on LinkedIn, on Instagram, everything, it's the Anna L Garcia. And then, of course, our book is on Amazon. The Table is Set, the Madrina Framework. So you can find it on Amazon. And please do review it. We appreciate reviews. And everybody can have my email, Anna@AnnaLGarcia.com. I bought that domain too, girl.
I love it. I love it. You have to. You have to.
Absolutely.
So I am at Lolly Ramirez Bennett on LinkedIn, Facebook, the full name. But for email, it's lollyrb1@gmail.com. And I will tell you real quickly, the table is set. Think about how many times you heard your mom say, donde comemos aquí cinco, no hay problema. Podemos traer más, ¿verdad? There's always room for somebody else. And to your point, the other thing is, I visualize when I remember that they used to say, it's getting that seat at the table. You need to get that seat at the table. You know what? We got to the table. It wasn't necessarily what we wanted. We build our own.
Build our own. I love that.
Okay. So it's about, again, that rebel, right? But it's about knowing that we can achieve more.
Yes. Yes. And despite the changes, despite a layoff, despite your age, despite whatever is happening around us, I love that you are reminding and also imparting for the first time that, hey, there's other things, but first stop, pause, figure it out, and then move forward to what it is that's next, and listen and be still for a little bit, because I can't be still that long. And so here it is. We're showing on Amazon.com how you can go on to Amazon.com and buy your book. And also, I want my final question as we say goodbye. If you could sit across little Anna and little Loli, your younger self today, maybe when you were maybe like a tween, teen, what advice would you give yourself about leadership, courage, and trusting your own voice?
I will tell you something I learned that I wish I had learned earlier is trust your voice and use it. I don't live life with many regrets, but if I had done this even sooner, I think about how much more I would have achieved. And I don't necessarily mean career or money or anything else, but how much more impact could I have made if I had done this earlier? But life is pretty damn good. I don't really have much regrets. Trusting yourself, be vulnerable so that you can meet other people that you can help or are in the same position and that can help you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Loli. Anna.
So your conviction is your truth is something I would tell myself, because if I always stay faithful to that, I will still be where I'm at today, and I like it. So, I didn't call myself the rebel, but I did do what Anna wanted when Anna wanted.
I love it.
I don't know if you saw the show, if you saw the Siempre Reinas on Netflix. But she said, las reglas las rompí, yo las escribí, right? Porque yo no las escribí. So the rules were made to be broken, especially if you didn't write them. Exactly.
I love that. I love that, because I didn't write them. Why should they apply to me? Oh my gosh, this has been a wonderful chat. I loved having you on, and thank you for coming and being vulnerable yourself too, and putting your work out there, because putting out a book, that's like you're putting out your heart out there. It's like you made a baby and boom, your baby is out in the world. So thank you. Thank you for creating the table. And when the table wasn't created, you are teaching others to create your own table, your own damn table, your own chair, your own cucharas. Like, bring your stuff and don't be afraid, right? The ergonomic chair también. Um, no, but thank you so much. And I really appreciate you also being there for me because it also was healing as I move forward in what's next. And I'm super excited to read the book and to be your guinea pig. So you can, and put the big old mirror in front of my face because I have 1,001 things I want to do, but I do need to stop and reflect and refocus and regroup. And I'm going to do a lot of R stuff: reflect, refocus, regroup, rejuvenate,
Oh,
relax. Did I
And
say relax?
realize, and then you realize.
Realize. And then you realize. Did I include relax in there? I need to include relax también.
yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't always happen for us.
Rejuvenate to be relaxed.
Rejuvenate to be relaxed. Yes. Before you realize the next mission.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
wonderful way to approach it.
Thank
And
you.
know that both Anna and I are here to help you with that process because we've done this plenty, and
Yeah.
it's not hard when you know where you're headed.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. You guys are such a blessing, and I'm looking forward to bumping into you again
Absolutely.
and hugging because this is a whole nother level now.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that this reaches so many more people that may need this type of support and just like empuje, like come on, let's go. Like it's okay to be sad, but come on, let's go. And thank you so much for being here on the Claudia Macias show and podcast on admirableradio.com. Gracias por estar aquí.
Thank
Mwah.
you.
Thank you for having us, and congratulations on whatever comes next.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anna. And thank you, Loli.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we've come to the end of my show, the Claudia Macias show and podcast. As you see, this is a place that I love to bring amazing people on, like Anna, like Loli, who had so many words of inspiration, who had some guidance, and they have a book. So if you're going through some major changes and you need to take some time to look into the mirror, to find out what motivates you, and to find out what the next movement is, and to go into the momentum and then be a madrina to support someone else's journey, pick up this book, get connected to them, and see how this could be part of your transition and your transformation. So what a blessing it is to be here. Thank you so much for Admirable Radio, for always making sure that we're on air, that we have my show out there. And don't forget, if you missed it, you can see it again next Tuesday at 7 o'clock from 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And don't forget, you can also go back to our YouTube channel, Admirable Radio YouTube. Subscribe and follow us there, as well as get a chance to watch the show there again and get a chance to connect with today's guest. Today was episode number 332. Yes, 332 shows of the Claudia Macias show and podcast. Go ahead and follow, like, and share all of our social medias, and we'd love to have you back again. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Adios.